tape bed and texture, or tape bed and lack of texture, is almost done. All of the mud is on. They have to come back and sand part of the ceiling. The ceiling, I framed it at 12-12 pitch for two reasons. Number one, because they give us more headspace in the loft. And number two, because I thought it would be easier to frame. But it made everything else more complicated. So, you know, moving forward, if you want to do a 12-12 pitch, just keep that in mind. This is a video. Let me rephrase. This content is something that I have made a video of at least 4 times and deleted because I didn't like it, or I felt like I gave too much information or not enough information, or I was uncomfortable with the subject matter or whatever. But after talking to Amanda, we both thought that it was important to talk about this, even though I'm not comfortable with it. I just don't like talking about money. And I don't like talking about money probably because we don't have any. Of course, I'm saying that, but you know, I know people that are really, really poor, and I know people that are really, really rich. And growing up, I always thought we were really, really poor. And then when I became an adult, I really saw poverty and people that live in poverty, and I realized that I wasn't really all that poor growing up. And we joke about being poor. I joke about it quite a bit, and I probably shouldn't. But I'm getting off on a tangent. But the whole purpose of this video is to say, the reason that we're building a house isn't because we wanted to build a house. The reason we're building a house is because we wanted to get out of debt. And mortgage was our biggest piece of debt. And we figured out a way to eliminate that. And it was pretty radical, building a house. With that being said, we didn't save up a bunch of money to build a house. But what we did was, not of our own understanding, it was totally providential. But whenever I was 21, 2011, I bought a house, lived there for several years, 15-year mortgage. Couldn't get a mortgage. The guy that owned the house actually mortgaged it for us. His name is David George. I'm friends with him on Facebook still. Maybe he'll see this and laugh or something, but lived in that house for 8 years, sold it, didn't make a whole lot of money. I think we sold it for $5,000 more than we bought it for, but it was 15-year mortgage and we lived there for 8 years. So we got some money back for that, put it into our next house. Our next house went up in value. Of course, I'm condensing this whole story, but there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it about God's providence also. But came to the point where we wanted to get out of debt, realized what we owed on our house, realized what we could get for our house, and started looking at building a house. We also looked at buying a house. You know, theoretically, we could have sold our house and bought a house, but there were no houses. We could build a nicer house that we could buy for that amount of money, so that's what we're doing. But you know, it's a question that a lot of people have asked me and Amanda, and I kind of always thought, you know, well, I don't know. I don't think it's weird to ask. I try to be an open book and not have any secrets, and maybe this will be an inspiration for somebody or whatever, I don't know. But Our budget for our house, not including the land, was about $75,000. Can we build a house for $75,000? TBD. We might have to live in it looking like this, I'm not sure. But a lot of people, probably a lot of builders would say you can't build a house for $75,000. Well, I'm here to tell you, not including the land. That was a totally separate deal. But I think we can build a house for $75,000. It's not going to be the biggest house we've ever lived in. It's not going to be the nicest house we've ever lived in. But when you're saving, $1,200 or $1,500 a month, not paying a mortgage or more, for some of you, you can upgrade things relatively quickly if you can save that money. So the $75,000, we got back about $65,000 from selling our house. We had about $10,000-ish, but which we did save. We purchased the land. The first thing we did, to be clear, there's a small mortgage on the land. It's not very much. It's pretty inexpensive. But the first thing we did when we bought the land is drill the well to make sure that there was water and that this was a viable option. And then I went ahead and put in an electric pole, which cost a couple of thousand. And so anyway, the whole rest of that money, all I'm saying is the rest of that money is for building the house. Now, could you pay somebody to build a house for $75,000? Heck no. Nobody could do it. You would have to, if you wanted to do this, if you wanted to go about this adventure, you'd really have to do a lot of the work yourself. There's some things that we paid for people to do because they're better at it or cheaper, and there's a lot of things that we did ourselves. So Pier and Beam Foundation, we did the Pier and Beam Foundation ourselves, me, Amanda, my dad, and our kids. That saved us, it was about half the price of if we had poured a slab. So that was some savings. We installed the well pump. That saved us about $4,000. We're doing the septic tank. I'm not exactly sure how much that's going to save, but I think it's going to save around $5,000 if we had paid somebody else to do it. Framing the house, I did have to hire somebody to frame the roof and do the sheeting on the outside. That cost $4,500, I think. But if we'd have got somebody to frame the whole house, it would have cost more than $10,000. Appliances, we bought that on clearance. It had a dent in the back. The stove got donated from a remodel. There's just a bunch of things that we saved money on. I paid an electrician to do the electrical. I have wired things before, but this was quite a bit more complicated than anything that I've ever done. And I didn't want our house to burn down, so I paid a professional, Stephen Brown, in case you're wondering. Plumbing, I did that myself. If I'd have paid a plumber, it would have been like $15,000, and it cost us, I don't know, maybe $2,000. You just have to be willing to do a whole bunch of stuff yourself, and that's what we did. I paid somebody to install the drywall. Getting it installed, well, first of all, I couldn't do it myself, and I'm not good at it. But getting it installed was less expensive than paying, say, a couple of my employees to do it, and it's faster. Tape bed and texture, I paid somebody to do that. This whole house was 2,500 bucks. But it, you know, I mean, it looks really, really good. Much better than if I'd have done it myself. And much, much faster than if I'd have done it myself. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm just trying to answer some questions that people have been asking me. And you know, it's weird. Like, people ask me about how much the house is going to cost. And some of those people are people that I've been friends with for decades. And some of those people are like people that I meet on the street. It's like kind of weird, but you know, whatever. Several tradesmen have told me that now they're going to do this. They're going to build their own house, and they believe that they can do it. And I believe that they can too. If you want to do it, I'm not going to help you build it. Or I can't help you a whole lot to build it. But I can't give you all the information that I have and all the contacts that I have. Just let me know.